All right, Chair
Well,
Harrington, over to you. And we have Commissioner Willie joining right now.
we'll give him a second. Good morning. Commissioner Rogers and Commissioner Willie, you set to go? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the July 19th, 2022 Washington County Board of Commissioners work session. This is Chair Catherine Harrington, and I'm joined by Commissioners Nafisa Fai, Pam Treese, Roy Rogers, and Jerry Willie is connecting up with us momentarily. If someone could help remind me later to definitely talk about the formal agenda for our meeting this morning, I'd appreciate the assistance as I so often fly right by that and into the next topic or meeting. So the first item on the agenda is board and leadership communication. Who would like to go first? Go ahead, Commissioner Treese.
Good morning, everybody. And before I get started, congratulations to Diane. That's grandchildren are such a wonderful gift. So congratulations there. Last week was busy, like all of them have been recently. I joined Nafisa for a briefing from Clean Water Services on Scoggins Dam and the Joint Water Commission and what's going on there. I had lunch with Jeff Petrillo last week. Jeff is on the Planning Commission and he is terming out. So we had a really good conversation. He's such a wonderful addition to the Planning Commission and such a help to me in District 2. So I really appreciate his participation. We talked about, among other things, the Saltzman realignment and all sorts of other things. So I also met, or I had the Central Cultural Board meeting last week, and I attended the Plaza Los Amigos groundbreaking, and I was happy to represent the commission there. It was a hot day, and they did a great job. We were in an open field with lots of big machinery and shovels and hard hats, for kind of the regular things, but it was well done between Reach and Bienestar, as well as the city of Cornelius. I also attended the PAB meeting. It was mostly, the work that we do at the PAB. So then lastly, I did want to tell you about a meeting I had with Joff Roach. I talked with Commissioner Willie yesterday about this. He's working on a campaign regarding the park that is behind the Hidden Creek facility in Hillsborough, and they're working to, I think it's fair to say, the city is invested in this park and they'd like to see it move to the level of like the Champions Park that is for disability. It's disability focused, and that's a great park as well. So, and I've talked with Jerry about that. Chair.
I've known Joff in multiple roles, and I don't know what his current role is. Could you help place that for me?
And I have only known him when I first came on the commission. I was involved in the THPRD Foundation, and he was working there and raising money for the foundation. That they formed, they formed, I believe, like a 501c4 or something like that. And he left and has been working independently on different projects, I think around the country as a consultant, but his real interest is in open spaces, parks, and especially with the lens of disability. So that gives you a little context of what I know he's doing right now. And then lastly, I had an interesting meeting with representatives from Tax Fairness Oregon that are constituents of mine, Jody Weiser and I'm not remembering the other person's name, but Jody was the lead person that was discussing this, and they wanted to talk about how the state approaches the property tax exemption process and a possible review. It was a very complicated conversation, but they wanted to start talks with local government representatives who are property tax dependent on how to have this conversation at the macro level. There's a lot that I need to take back to our experts, and more of it comes out. The other person, Megan, was in the meeting, and I asked Aaron Doyle to attend as well. So that way, I had good support in that regard. So I was, it's a difficult discussion, and it's kind of like, well, I'm one commissioner in one county, and we're talking about a statewide issue, and they understood that. They're just looking for kind of a starting point, I believe. So this week I have the Homeless Plan Advisory Committee. Where the Acre is meeting on, I believe we're having our reception is at Thursday night. It's on my calendar, and it's moved from in person to virtual because of COVID related issues. That's a disappointment, but I think it's very appropriate. And I also have I'm going to be attending the I-205 improvements groundbreaking, and the following week I will be on vacation. So that's my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Treese. And on that property tax topic, this is one of the topics that the AOC General Government Steering Committee is further exploring, very early stages. And I've now exhausted my level of understanding.
Well, I mentioned that, and I mentioned that Shushila is really kind of the chair of that and is leading it, and they've already had this discussion with her as well. So great. I think that they're in the loop.
Yay! Thanks. Other commissioners?
I'll jump in. Pam, is that group planning to meet with the rest of us commissioners to bring us up to speed, or so how do we get information on this?
Jerry, at this point, I'm sure that they'd be happy to meet with you. I'm sure that, at this point, though, I think my advice would be to let Aaron take kind of the questions, talk with our folks, and then maybe get back to us independently before you meet again with them. That would be my advice. It's a huge topic, and they're talking about sunsets on, a long list of different property tax exemptions. So, it's from cemeteries that have been have an exemption since 1854, all the way to current things, small craft at airports, so it's a really big topic. And I'm more, if you want to, go right ahead.
Well, we've talked about property tax revisions for years and years and years, but the focus hasn't been exemptions, because obviously that's our lifeblood, and we're not looking for ways to reduce our property tax revenues. So I'm hoping there's a flip side to that.
What she's talking about is sunsetting these exemptions, so increasing the revenue.
Sunsetting the exemptions.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood that. All right. Well,
I probably wasn't real clear.
I'll wait till things get a little bit more clarified, and then we'll find out. From my standpoint, had an interesting meeting at ROMAC, the Rural Roads Committee meeting. I gave them an update on the safety on 6. If you guys remember, this is a citizen that that's a trucker, travels 6 from Tillamook into the metro on a regular basis, and has obviously had lots of traffic and safety issues that he's seen on other cars. Several years ago, there was a multiple death accident on that. Anyway, he's contacted Commissioner Scar of the Tillamook Commission, And then they've reached out with Representative Weber. They've got some money designated for from ODOT to do a safety study on that, and working on just watching that evolve. I mean, again, when you take one individual who's been able to kind of move the dial on something like this and something as serious as this, it's good. It's good to see him involved. Staying with the rural roads, as you know, Highway 47 traveling through Banks is closed at I will say, the northwest end of Banks because of ODOT is replacing a bridge there. It's going to be closed probably until September or later. We are having issues with the alternate route that everyone is choosing is Sellers Road, and Sellers Road crosses the Sunset Highway a little bit closer to the Vernonia cutoff, I guess, that's several miles from there. But anyway, crosses the Sunset Highway at a very dangerous spot, and we have truckers and we have lots of traffic trying to turn left and head to the coast off of that, which means they cross 2 lanes of traffic. So I've asked Todd and Joe Yonkers to reach out again to ODOT, and we've got to get better signage up there. We can't change the ingress and egress of Sellers Road onto 26, but certainly we can do better. We can have better signage, I believe, on 26. So I've asked them to reach out on that. And sticking with transportation, we had the TV Highway. Commissioner Faya and I attended the TV Highway Steering Committee last Friday. Had a great discussion on of course, that project. The cost estimates have come in considerably higher than what we estimated, and considerably higher than several years ago when this was being discussed. So we're looking at ways of maybe cutting up the project. Is there sections of it that will be easier and cheaper, such as Forest Grove to Hillsborough or Forest Grove to down to Aloha? And so looking at how we can maybe divide that up and get some things done. It doesn't take $500 or $600 million to do that. So so continuing to look at that. And then had the public safety meeting as well last week. We had a representative from the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training, which gave us stop information. Stop information is, of course, the number of people that get pulled over by our officers, and the disparities that we may be experiencing there with the race that we are pulling over and talking to. The biggest issue, I think, is probably driver's licenses and suspended licenses. That's primarily in the Hispanic community. So, of course, the Latinx council that works with the sheriff is engaged in that. And we have also asked the Department of Licensing to step in and help us, and how we can have a better campaign as encouraging people to get their licenses and to deal with those, so we don't have people on the road without a valid driver's license or one that's been revoked. And then I met yesterday with Lizzie Atwood-Willis, and I think probably everybody's going to meet or has already met anyway. Very informative, good information. We'll see. We'll have more information coming up. This is the Mushroom Ordinance, and so and we're going to be making some decisions on that here coming up. And I think Tom probably has some information on that as well. So I'll stop with that. And then today I will be leaving at 10:45 for an 11 o'clock ribbon cutting on the Jackson School Road official opening. That's been a project that's been in process for a number of years and is a beautiful new street right now. So I will be there with Mayor Callaway and others, and that'll be at 11 o'clock. So I'll be leaving at 10:45. And lastly, we head off to NACO this week. That's tomorrow morning. So look forward to a good conference. It's probably the largest conference. Certainly, Tanya can give us more information on that. But there's going to be a lot of people there, and we have all kind of divvied up the assignments. And so I will be going to the Public Safety Steering Committee at NACO. So with that, I don't have anything else.
Thank you, Commissioner Willie. Any other commissioners?
I can follow Commissioner Rogers. I think I saw you reach. I can follow.
Go
Yours,
ahead.
go ahead.
Well, mine's not as detailed as both Jerry and Pam. They've been very busy. I had a couple of meetings yesterday. One R1 Act meeting is coming up, so we always have a pre-meeting to discuss some mainly reports that are coming out. Also met with the Tualatin Chamber. Their issue is tolling. That seems to be the theme. I always want to call them Hillsborough, but they're Washington County Chamber a while back, and I know they've got another one coming up next week, which I'm invited to. But everybody is very interested in tolling and how it's going to work and what does it mean. This would be for the chair. I had an interesting conversation yesterday also with a counselor from Tualatin regarding our favorite topic of the Salt Creek Parkway, and it's always interesting to replow that ground again and once again explain how we got where we're at and some of the issues. But it's always good to continue. Next week is busy with a number of meetings that have to do with a variety of things, everything from meet and greet like I did with some of the Tigard folks. This one's with Sherwood to I should look at my calendar. I think I have like 5-10 meetings next week, which is high for me, but that's it. I'll let Nafisa go ahead and give her laundry list like Pam and Jerry. You guys are very busy.
Thank you, Commissioner Rogers. Yeah, I think I'll try to keep brief since I've had overlapping meetings and briefings with both Commissioner Treese and Commissioner Willie. Clean Water Services, thank you for that great update on Scoggins Dam project. I learned a lot and really appreciated. And as Commissioner Willie mentioned last week, happy to see that Hack Lake is full this year as well. I had a meeting with regarding Cooper Mountain, and also a lot of the topics that came out in that conversation with the Cooper Mountain. It's also questions and concerns that came out at a recent town hall that I had last week. So I met with a group of citizens who reached out regarding the Cooper Mountain Community Development Plan, and actually it's a conversation that's happening at the Beaverton City Council today on this topic. It was a very interesting discussion, and it was tied into some of the other meetings that I've been having, including the town halls. I'm hearing frequently from the community about a need to find a way to protect tree canopy in Washington County. I understand that Washington County doesn't currently have a tree code, but I would be interested in learning more about what is done in similar jurisdictions to retain significant trees. That seems to be overwhelming conversations with citizens. And, some of the questions I'm wondering is a tree code only path to preserving the tree canopy? So those are some interesting conversations and some things that Brenda and I are working on to look into it. And as Commissioner Willie mentioned, the TV Highway Steering Committee was last week, and thank you, Chair Harrington, for attending the bus tour for Commissioner Willie and I. A lot of the members gave an update, and it sounds like it was a really great tour and quite the learning and eye-opening for a lot for the folks. And then yesterday was also a WCCC meeting, and the members decided to appoint Frank Bubenek of Tualatin, and Jason Snyder for the time being for the tolling advisory committee. So um, we'll have quite a few folks from Washington County in um, tolling. Hasn't been a conversation that started, but I can imagine it'll wrap up soon, and um, it'll get quite interesting. And I'll definitely keep our board engaged in how that conversation gets pivoted. What else? Erin Doyle, thank you so much for that great briefing. I had a wonderful briefing, and I think you all saw the memo around forestry. Um, that was a really good question, conversations, and I had a lot of questions for Erin, and she did a great job answering all of them, and really appreciated the way the memo was structured. So thank you, Erin, for that forestry briefing. What else? And then Chamber, thank you, Commissioner Trace, for facilitating the Beaverton Chamber of Commerce meeting yesterday. A lot of the conversations was preschool for all. I don't think the information is trickling down where we are as a commissioner to our constituents and communities. So it was good to let them know where Washington County is at this moment and where the project is, and separating the two. So that was a really good meeting for me. See, I think I'll stop right there. Oh, just advertisements, JPAC, and it's happening also this week. And then we're going to have next week a JPAC workshop on a separate topic than what we talked about at the last workshop, which is around the vision, the mission, and then a lot of the goals, and condensing the goals to make it succinct and something that's measurable and targets that can be met. And also, Commissioner Teresa, I will be attending the celebration of 205, I 205 with you. So we'll both be there to celebrate that. And I think I'll stop right there. Thank you.
If I could ask you a question, Commissioner Fye, the TV Highway Committee, who are the co-chairs of that committee?
I'm not sure if there's a co-chair, but the chair is Councilor Juan Carlos. Juan Carlos Gonzalez. Councilor Gonzalez is the chair. Commissioner Willie helped me. I don't think they have identified another chair, but right now it's the staff of Metro and Councilor Gonzalez running that steering committee and doing a wonderful job, if I may add.
And I believe we appointed you as our Washington County rep, and Commissioner Willie is an alternate to speak and represent us should you not be able to attend the meeting and represent us, correct?
Yes, absolutely. We're both actively attending and engaged. Yes, but I'm the voting member when I'm there.
Correct. Okay, great. Thank you. So I'll go. Last Wednesday was the groundbreaking of the Tigard Senior Center. Commissioner Willie was there as well. That is a project that is the property is being provided through the city of Tigard. It's on a property that also contains the Tigard Senior Center itself. It's going to be a wonderful facility when the construction is completed. So it was really wonderful to have the opportunity to thank the Alternative Housing Solutions. Did I get that name right? Yes, I think I did. Thank you, Commissioner Rogers. And with their board members and staff, as well as with our staff and the City of Tigard staff and electeds, to really recognize the moment and see that project move forward. through construction. At the Public Safety Coordinating Council meeting last week, there was also a lengthy presentation about disparities in juvenile justice. And our staff did a great job of bringing forward data and analysis and briefing the council on how they're going about doing their work and making choices and working with community partners to help our youth. Also there, the sheriff also helped explain to the council his decision to close Pod 1 at the jail due to turnover and overtime and recruiting challenges that he has in his department. And there was also a roundtable conversation around a piece of legislation that passed a couple of years ago, Senate Bill 48, which eliminated certain mandatory minimum sentences and deals with pretrial releases. And it was really useful to hear from Judge Proctor about that as well. So I'm glad I attended that meeting. I'm looking forward to starting my vacation next Wednesday. It's interesting, Commissioner Treese, I keep confusing next week with this week, thinking you're on vacation this week. So whether you know it or not, I have you on vacation several times this week. I know you're not, you're working. So, but it is summertime. There are wonderful, fun summer events going on. Yesterday, during the monthly chair mayors meeting, the mayors highlighted a few of their fun events going on in their various communities. And I also ensured that I asked for their input on the psilocybin topic. And that's when I learned from Mayor Bubenek that OHA had a local government presentation. And it's one that I missed that had been fostered and brought forward through AOC and LOC. And so that's, then I did some quick Googling as well. And it's like, ooh, a plethora of information. So I just, I also made sure that they're in the know about our next steps on reapportionment. So they'll be on the lookout for the public comment period for the new district information, the proposals. As of yesterday afternoon, we didn't have the full suite available yet. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we talked about potential future topics that they may be interested in. So that's it generally from me. Next week, on Monday, will be the Supportive Housing Services Oversight Committee meeting. And a couple of weeks ago was the first onboarding of the SHS Tri-County Planning Body Oversight Committee as well. So I'm looking forward to that meeting next Monday. And the second onboarding meeting for the Tri-County Planning Body will occur while I'm on vacation. So I'll be catching up once again through the videos and packet information. Such are the challenges of meetings during the summer vacation season. So I just wanted to give a heads up, part of the no surprises scheme. I really appreciated having the opportunity of a briefing yesterday uh, with Lizzie Wills on the Psilocybin program. And I forwarded information that I received from her to all of you. And what I had the opportunity to learn, not only from her, but others, is that from my perspective, the planning for this is going along quite well. And as you heard from me last week, I was concerned about the community members knowing of this and being able to make sure that they have had sufficient voice. Well, as we talked about last week, the community here in Washington County voted overwhelmingly, right? 59% for allowing psilocybin facilities in our communities. And the cities are moving along in supporting all of that as well. And seeing the information sheets from OHA, catching up with their overviews, I'm in a much different place now. It's like, okay, it's not, it takes some work for someone to set up a service center and have the facilitators and whatnot. So at this juncture, I'm not seeing a need to go to the countywide voters to ask for a 2-year delay for our doing the work for the unincorporated areas. So I'll certainly learn more as we go through the business meeting process, but I just wanted to make sure that I gave you some insight as to where I'm thinking prior to our meeting later today. That's all. Oh, and I just noticed Commissioner Fye, you raised your hand. Sorry, I'm not sure what topic I might have been talking about.
It's something that you talked about, Chair Harrington, but it reminded me of a topic that I left off of my updates. So I'll wait to finish your update and then I'll go if you don't mind.
I'm done.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
done.
Okay. And thanks for that last update, especially around the heavy topic of mushroom or psilocybin. One thing that you reminded me is when you mentioned the jail and the pod that got closed, pod 1. I forgot to mention, even though it's on my list, that I had a tour of our jail, Washington County Jail, last week. And I just wanted to extend my gratitude to the sheriff's office, our sheriff, and Under Sheriff John Cook, and all the deputies and all the jail staff that work. I really saw, you know, as expected, you'll see law and order, of course, in a jail. But what I saw also is really compassion and concern from the staff that was, that we were able to stop by briefly and for them to explain what they do and how they're keeping things and who's in there, who they're watching over and the inmates that they're taking care of. So I wanted just to extend, and I know it's a hard work to be a jail staff, both physically and emotionally as well. But thank you for all you do, and thank you for your service, and thank you for the great tour. And just want to be accessible to the sheriff's office and the jail staff if there's anything that I can help with. And thank you, and look forward. I think we might have, I don't know if any of you have done the jail tour, but I recommend.
Oh, annually.
Ah, good.
Every year the board does it.
This is my first time. So yeah, I think great stuff that the sheriff's office is doing. So thank you. And now I'm done on my list.
So there are generally 3 annual meetings that we have. We have the annual jail tour. We have an annual meeting with the fair board, And we have an annual meeting with the Washington County Homelessness Advisory Committee, if I said that right. So those are 3 sort of annual meetings. 2 usually happen in the spring, and the housing homelessness one usually happens in October. And our staff usually takes care of all the scheduling through the rolling agenda for us. Commissioner Willie, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and speaking of things I forgot, the fair starts this week on Friday, so goes for 10 days. Again, the Fair Board will be providing breakfast for the 4-H kids, not this weekend, but the next weekend for the last 4 days. But yeah, I'd encourage you to take an afternoon and go out and visit the fairgrounds, certainly visit the fair, let people know that that certainly you're on the commission and how much we appreciate the hard work that everybody does to pull this fair together. So yeah, take some time and go out there. Thanks.
Oh, and I forgot to mention that our staff is doing a great job of being out at the various community events as part of the Major Streets Transportation Improvement Program public input process. I'm hearing about it from different constituents, mostly hearing about how they have noticed how folks are having conversations on Nextdoor about learning more at different farmers markets and so forth. And I think that's a tremendous sign that being present, physically present at community events makes a difference. So thank you very much, Ms. Angie, and to the other members of our organization, not just on MISTEP, but all the efforts across the agency to go where people meet naturally. So that's really tremendous. Thank you. Oh, right. Leadership communication. Ms. Angie, what have you got for us today?
Well, first, Chair Harrington, thank you for that recognition of staff, specifically on Misstep. I know our LUT team is eager to be engaging with our community, and with that comes more ideas from our community too. We know that we have many transportation needs, and so the community conversation and chatter on Nextdoor is a healthy piece of democracy as we move forward, and your board prioritizes that needed spending and investment here in Washington County. I'm so happy to share that our community development manager position, so this is Jenny Proctor's position, the application period has closed, and we are really pleased with the strong applicant pool. So we are working through the hiring process right now. And I do want to just give a huge shout out to Jenny for her willingness to adjust her retirement date to ensure we have a slight overlap with once we get to the end of this hiring process. So I value Jenny's leadership over the years here at Washington County and her commitment to ensuring that we have a very stable transition, and we're setting up the new manager for success. So kudos to Jenny, and there will be more information ahead as she approaches her retirement date. Commissioner Willie had raised the NACO conference, which is in Adams County, Colorado. NACO is indicating there's really strong in-person attendance. They only have an in-person option, so well over 200,000. They have sold out of hotels multiple times and have had to double their shuttle services between the conference center and hotels. So I think that's a sign that that elected officials and appointed officials across the country are looking forward to convening and talking about issues that we have in common. This will be my first in-person NACA board meeting, so I continue to appreciate the opportunity to connect with county administrators across the county and build that strong network of relationships and best practice shared learning. While I will be out of state this week, I have asked that Marnie Kyle serve as acting should there be any needs here in Washington County. But of course, board, you know, you can always reach me. And I will be working during the conference. And that concludes my weekly update.
Thank you. Mr. Carr, how about you?
Thank you, Chair Harrington. Mentioning the fair, the reapportionment team will be in the county booth on the fair this Saturday, and they will be represented by the county council. So if anybody has any legal questions about reapportionment, please come by the booth on Saturday morning where I will be sitting. And I agree with the importance of reaching out to the community and giving them a chance to give us their views on these important topics. I want to thank Sheriff Garrett. Yesterday, our team had the opportunity to view the Washington County Law Enforcement Training Center and walk through some scenarios with some officers. Really helpful for our team, particularly those of us who defend litigation for the officers. It's a very impressive facility of which we all should be very proud, and the hard work that they do there, in my view, will save us millions of litigation. Particularly the efforts that they do training and de-escalation and other important things that to comply both with state law and doing the right thing. Tremendous team out there and tremendous facility. I have no updates on litigation this week, so thank you all.
Doing nothing, saving money. Woohoo! That's fun. Ms. Taniguchi Dennis, Clean Water Services.
Thank you, Chair Harrington, and good morning, Board of Directors. Being your grandma for the first time is just fabulous. So I just wanted to share that and thank you for your well wishes. We're in stable summer operations at Clean Water Services. One of the things the team is really focusing on in the next few weeks is to assess the risk and the impact of the emerald ash borer beetle, particularly on the ash trees that are in our thermal compliance management areas, so that they're looking at implementing monitoring, mitigation, and also risk management strategies to see how this pest will unfold. We're hopeful, but we're also being very pragmatic and practical about it. I will be at the National Association of Clean Water Agencies board meeting and the summer conference in Seattle from Sunday to next Wednesday. I'll be available to the team, but Mark Jockers will be attending the board meeting on my behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for our leadership from commissioners? Nope. Okay, so formal agenda. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Carr.
Chair Harrington, I did want to take a moment to explain the schedule for the Psilocybin ordinance. There may be a little confusion because we have two second hearings listed on the rolling agenda, and I want to clarify why that is. So we have introduction and first reading today, and if the board introduces it, the charter requires 2 weeks between introduction and passage. So we've set passage, if that's what the commission wishes to do, for August 2nd. The July 26th public hearing will be the public hearing. If the commission decides to engross the ordinance on July 26th, we will have a second public hearing on August 2nd. If not, it will be there for passage on August 2nd if that's what the commission desires. So you need 1 week between engrossment and passage, 2 weeks between introduction and passage. And because of the tight timeline, it looks a little confusing on the schedule, and I hope that clears it up.
And you're describing engrossment in the event that we have changes.
Yes.
Okay.
So if the board wanted to do a permanent ban or a 1-year ban or a 3-year ban, we could do that as an engrossment at the meeting on July 26th.
As examples of potential changes. Sure.
Exactly.
Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Treese.
I just have a question about attendance on July 26th. Could you remind me who is going to be at that meeting and who isn't? You're going to be at the meeting? Okay, I am not going to be at the meeting.
You're the only one, I believe, who will be missing the July 26th meeting. And I plan to attend the August 2nd meeting while I'm on vacation. So I don't believe we'll have any commissioners gone on August 2nd.
Okay, thank you.
So is everybody A-okay with the sequencing? Okay. Terrific. If I have a question for you, Mr. Carr. So July 26th, we'll have a public hearing. If community members if there are community members who, for whatever reason, don't have the opportunity to participate on July 26th, but are available on August 2nd, I realize it's not a public hearing. Can they then, though, share their thoughts during public input at the early stage of the meeting?
Yes, Chair Harrington, that they would be able to speak in the public comment period at the beginning. If there's no engrossment on July 26th, and there's no public hearing. If there's a public hearing, of course, then they speak during a public hearing.
So if we assume if there are no changes, then we can make a decision on passing the ordinance as currently written on August 2nd. If we do want to make changes, then the setup is that we would make those modifications and engrossments on August 2nd and have a subsequent decision on the engrossed ordinance at a future date. I don't know if that would be August 9th. I don't know what the future date is in August.
No, I apologize, Chair Harrington. The last day, the last meeting that you have before the deadline to get it to the county county assessor is August 2nd. So if you're going to pass it, you have to pass it on August 2nd. Okay. And the engrossment would happen on July 26th. So okay. That's why, and the only question is whether or not you have a second public hearing on August 2nd. Either way, you have to pass it or not pass it that day, final, because we need the 2 weeks and there isn't another meeting before the August 18th deadline.
So could we sequence, do you want me to re-explain the sequencing, Commissioner Treese, or do you just want to go to your question?
My question is there a chance that we could pass this ordinance on July 26th?
No.
No. Okay, so that's what I thought.
The charter requires 2 weeks between introduction and passage.
That's what I thought. Okay. Thank you. And yes, Chair, you certainly go ahead. I just wanted to make sure I got that point.
Okay. Okay. So, and Mr. Carr, I'd like to ensure that at today's meeting, the business meeting, that this is summarized clearly as well. So today, July 19th, is the first introduction. And we need, by our charter, to have 2 weeks between the introduction and the second reading and passage of the proposal. So we're lining up for August 2nd. August 2nd also happens to be the last date that we can make a decision in order to propose this or not, to decide if we're going to take action for the November ballot. So August 2nd lines up for a couple of good reasons. We are moving full steam ahead with having a public hearing on July 26th. If the board wishes to make any changes to the ordinance, and Mr. Carr's given us some examples, then we would need to make an engrossment on August 2nd, in addition to the decision to pass it. And with an engrossment, we would have to have a second public hearing on August 2nd. So that's
Chair,
the
one-
sequence of dates and actions as I understand it. Do feel free to put it all on a slide for today's meeting, because I've heard from multiple people that just following it verbally is confusing and people do want to understand. Thank you. Also for our meeting today, I just wanted to make sure that folks are aware that there was a additional item added to the consent agenda. That's item 14. So there are 14 items on the consent agenda. And then our county council had updated the information for the psilocybin topic in the packet as well. So those were the only changes that I'm aware of from the original packet. Ms.
Chair,
Angie,
can-
go ahead.
Yeah, if I could just add, there was technical formatting issue on the ARPA table. So staff are updating that formatting. It doesn't change the content, but hopefully it'll be easier for the viewer.
Wonderful. That's the great table that you note, Commissioner Willie, the one with all the categories and the amounts, and the packet footers ended up obliterating some of the total information. So, and it prints very well on 11 by 17 here in the building. I was having trouble taking in the whole table on my screen here. Maybe if I'd turned it sideways, I could have gotten it in without having to zoom it and only see portions of it. Anyway, I'm rat holing. Sorry, folks. Are there any other information items before we pause the work session in advance of our 10 o'clock business meeting? Nope. Okay, well, we'll see you on the separate Zoom link, and then we will reconvene our work session, hopefully at 1 p.m. today. Thank you.